I love. Welcome to Queerify, formerly known as Quest, a journey to wellness. Today, we are wrapping it up, y'all. Get your mind out the gutter. I know it's immediately where you went. I'm talking about a year-end wrap-up. This past year has been quite a year. I'm tired, y'all. Are you tired? Because I am exhausted. I felt like 3 different years ran through this year for me personally, but I had a bunch of health issues, rise and dip, and just all these different things, struggles and thrives, I'll call them, that came through all in 1 year. And the community feeling like, not community, just, I'm trying not to say his name without saying his name. Thou shall not be named. Just, it's been a roller coaster. It's been a roller coaster to say the least. But I'm excited for what the years to come because things are changing. Things are changing, and I'm loving to be able to end this year seeing women presidents in Mexico, in Africa. Things are changing. So keep your heads up, and I hope that you enjoyed this year-end wrap-up because we had a lot of wonderful humans who showered us with their gifts on this podcast. We've had so many wonderful humans this past year on this podcast, literally have been showered on this podcast with their gifts. And we've learned so many things from their different intersectionalities and their identities. And we just felt they deserved a little bit more of a spotlight again. And also, who doesn't love a year-end wrap-up? We're gonna pull a few from our most recent episodes, a few topics that, yes, I said we. You heard that? Yes, I said we. I did. Because one of our producers is going to join me on this episode, and we're going to chat through a couple of these topics. But before we even jump into that, I wanted to just give some honorable mentions to some of these amazing people we've had this year. We've had Juju Bay. We've had Madam Gandhi. Okay, sorry. I just wanted to mention, before we jump into these topics, though, before we get into the convo with Raphaella, I wanted to make some honorable mentions to a bunch of folks that have been on the podcast. So we had Juju Bay from A Little Juju Podcast, to Madam Gandhi, Halo the God Body, Shayna Summers from Bad Queers Pod, Thea, Maori People Pride, Alexis Benefield, Luis Cornejo from Queer Magic Podcast, Touche, and Chotima, the one and only. And now, I'm going to bring Raphaella Landestoy, one of our producers, on so we could chat through some of these heavy topics that often people kind of shy away from these topics, but we're going to dive in. Are you ready? Grab your snorkel. Yes, that was an awkward sound. That was me virtually moving the curtain to get Raphaella from behind the curtain.
Hello, it's me. What's up, bees? I'm from behind the curtain. Now I'm in front of the curtain. Ta-da!
She's very magical, y'all. And for those of y'all that don't know who Raphaella is, tell people a little bit about you and who you are for this podcast, who you are in life, who you are for yourself. Yeah, I don't know.
My name is Raphaella Landestoy. She, her pronouns. I am co-producer of this podcast, and I am an energy worker with an emphasis on protection and healing for the community. I'm also House of Hufflepuff for life till the day I die. And I love to read, obviously. I love to be in nature. And I love to be weird with the people that I love. Ta-da! That's all.
Hufflepuff.
Don't even start with me.
I told you she was magic, y'all.
Oh, okay, good. I thought you were going to talk some shit. I was about to go off.
Y'all heard that? Triple fire.
Well, yeah. Also that. Oh, yeah. Also, I'm a triple fire, so. Woohoo! That's fun.
Also, if y'all don't know, we are partners.
Oh, yeah. That's also a thing. That's how we're in the same room right now. Well, I mean, you could do that without being partners, but it helps.
Oh, you make me laugh. You're silly. But yeah, today we thought it was going to be really beneficial for the both of us to jump on today's episode because literally both of us have so many intersectionalities that create who we are and also our identity combined with all of that. I thought it would be really beneficial for y'all to hear both of us and how we navigate it and how it was brought up in different episodes and just kind of like we're going to give examples of other people who are navigating through a lot of the same or different issues and how we can all just kind of learn from each other and also feel a little less alone in the experience of it all. Thanks, systemic oppression.
Yeah. I feel like this is a lot of the conversations that we have at home, either after we listen to the episodes or just in general. So we thought it would be a good idea to open up those conversations to our listeners, because I have a feeling that a lot of you guys probably are thinking about similar things or experiencing similar things. So why not talk about it?
So yeah, so we're going to pull from one of our most recent episodes with Kele, who is a native Hawaiian Mahu spirit. And just in case you didn't know what Mahu is, it's this very similar to Two Spirit. And in case, again, you don't really know what that is, it's often people who embrace the entire spectrum of the binary, I guess you can call it. Because they don't like, a lot of us don't like to be put in a box. We like to just kind of jump all over that spectrum. And that's the beauty of Mahu and Two Spirit peoples. It's really beautiful to hear their story and how they reconnect through community with the traditional native medicines, and building this community with that has really helped bring them back to themselves. And doing all this ancestral work and genealogy work, it's incredible. But I'm not going to give away the whole episode, so we're just going to give you a little taste, and then we're going to have a little chat about it. So here's a little bit of Kele.
Kele is brave. Kele kicking down doors. I've never been able to do that here because of the fear of, I don't want to offend. I see things are categorized. It feels like a place in the middle felt a little cramped to me until I just said, nah, I'm going to have to stand up a little straighter, stand up with my heart a little taller, and this is who I am. And I do this because baby me needed this. I am healing my own inner child by liberating all parts of that child. And this is a part that hasn't been able to be liberated. So my grounding, when I'm far away, I am a student of Pakala'ili, which is the traditional hand tapping tattoo on the island of Maui. My kumu, my teacher, is Chase Kai Keli Ipakawa. I am a studying genealogist. I like to say I don't like to call myself a genealogist, but I do like to say that I'm a student of this practice and I'm a life learner of genealogy. So Kele needed that. I needed that being far away. And there was a moment where I wasn't doing that. I was not turning to my ancestors. And I felt like I had the bravery because before I'd always ask permission. Everything's ask, ask, ask. And I understand. But me being on a different land, I was like, I'm not going to ask. I'm going to be. And I'm going to ground myself and find new ways, appreciate myself as a settler on Turtle Island. I don't know what that feels like as I identify as Indigenous here. So me settling there, I had to learn new winds. I had to learn new currents. I had to learn new people. I had to let go of old beliefs. And coming back home, it went full circle because my genealogy and my study, people pop up when I'm trying to search or I'm trying to find the line back that goes 5, 6, 7, 8, 32 generations. People pop up when I do my studying and I go through the archives, and some lines don't appear to you. Your ancestors don't come to you until you're ready to absorb that and information and download that mana that they have. So Kele is multidimensional, Kele is brave, Kele is fearless, Kele is a path carving, and I'm doing this for younger Po'e Mahu, the younger community coming up so that they see that their place in the middle has a lot of space.
I know, right? I felt the same way when I heard Kele's voice.
Oh my God. For real. What a human.
It's so incredible. And just to hear their story and how like moving away can help your independence, because it sure as hell helped me, like moving away and not having like the expectations of family on you and how you're supposed to show up in life. Like I really was able to remove that and just kind of move in life as me. That moving away led to that independence, which thus led to acceptance of, I'll say, my Mahu spirit, and led me to my own ancestral work. So it's really awesome to like hear a story that's very different, but also very similar.
Mhm.
I don't know how that was for you.
Mine is definitely different, but similar, like you said, in its own way. It reminded me a lot of the ways that I had to disconnect from my family too in order to find myself, because I think I was living in the identity that my family had created for me, and I wasn't figuring out who my identity was for myself. And sometimes it takes like drastic measures. For Kayla, it meant leaving their homeland. And for me, it meant like cutting contact for a while. And that gave me a chance to like really sit with myself. So that definitely gave me a chance to understand like what I found to be important for who I am. And a lot of that was finding my spiritual practice and working specifically with ancestral veneration. And it was like creating a relationship with people that maybe you don't see physically, but I believe are always there. So I would literally go to my altar and have full conversations with them, tell them about my day, cry with them, laugh with them. And it was really interesting how easy it was for me to just be myself. And creating that relationship with them really honestly was like my first experience with community. Like real community of like, I felt like I could finally be my full self with them.
With your ancestors?
Yeah. Wow. And then
That's cool.
Yeah. And then from that, starting to work with, okay, now that we have this relationship, I want to ask you guys to help me to find living, breathing community, people with with blood pumping in their veins. Through doing that work and asking specifically for community where I could be my authentic self, even though at the time, honestly, I didn't even know what that meant. I think it was just like a dream of like, I want to be authentic and I want people around me to be authentic. But it worked. And I now have the community that I have now. And a big part of it is this podcast. The feeling of like you are able to focus on yourself because you have people around you that support that and say, yeah, that's okay. Like we celebrate you finding who you are, even if some days that may look different than others or messier some days than not, but it's really powerful when you're able to find that. So I definitely related to that with Kele and their story.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I've known you for only now, 3 years?
Mm-hmm.
And to just watch you blossom into yourself, like you walk different, you talk different, you even, I feel like you laugh different, honestly.
Mhm.
Like it's just so more wholesome, and to see you just being more of who you are, and I think that you put the mask down,
Mm-hmm.
the mask of expectation,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not like, the best way to say it is like, you're letting your daddy energy out, and it's so great.
Yeah, I mean, yes, you're not wrong.
Yeah, I mean, there's that, and there's that also your spiritual self. I felt like you used to keep that very much for yourself,
Yeah, it's
and
very
now
private.
you're sharing your gifts,
Mhm.
and it's so beautiful to watch you're blooming.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and that I don't think that would be possible without, you, without Leah, without this strong community that I've built for myself, because I am a saboteur. I get in my head a lot, and my brain has a very strong gremlin that
Mhm.
just destroys a lot of things, minute things, big things, all the things. But, you help me a lot, and my community helps me a lot to remind me of all the good things that I have and the power that I hold. So I appreciate it. And I think that Kele is definitely someone that understands what that means too, and has found it in their own unique way. And like, we met Kele when, as they said, they were at a place in their life where they felt very disconnected from themselves, and to see them now and like having gone back to the mainland and getting back to their genealogy and tattooing and creating ava for their community, like you can feel it in their energy, you can see it in their face, like they're so much more centered and
It's the same,
energized.
different smile, different laugh,
Yes.
different walk
Yes.
from even just meeting them a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, and you mentioned the inner saboteur, and that makes me want to jump to our next topic.
Okay.
Which is also about the inner saboteur, where we talk to Gary,
Mm-hmm.
also known as Gangsta Gary from Mystic Moments. He just shares a very, very raw, very vulnerable moments with us, and telling us like that inner saboteur sometimes be taken over, and we talk about ways of how to put that inner saboteur in check, but also how to have accountability for our own stuff that we do, and how he's been vulnerable and open, and because of that it's magnetized community to him in a way that's like helping them grow and him grow, and they're all growing together. But without vulnerability that can't happen. But again, I'm rambling on about the episode. So we're just going to give you a little taste of Gary's episode, and then we'll chat a little bit more about it.
I love talking about wellness. I love talking about my wellness journey. I love talking about what I'm going through. I feel like there's power in connection, and there's power in vulnerability, and there's power in being able to like discuss like where you are at a certain junction or certain juncture of your journey, and having the ability to like have other people listen to it and be a witness to you, and or be witnesses to each other, is I think what we do not allow ourselves the opportunity to see as powerful, as much powerful as it is, because that's what helps to keep us above ground. That's what helps to keep us like continuing to grow. That's what helps us continuing to keep like improving and being in a space of, I may not be feeling the best right now. I may not be the happiest, but I know I just talked to my girlfriend yesterday and she says she's powering through it too. So we're just going to do the best that we can today in order to get through this day. And sometimes that's really it. And you hop into your routine for the day and you get to step in the best way that you possibly know how. And sometimes that's really all that you can do in order to elevate yourself and really pull yourself out of a rut that you may find yourself in, is like being like, okay, like, I know it's not just me. I know that it's really heavy for me right now, but I know that I have community. I know that I have support. I know I got people around that are in the midst, in the throes of doing their own version of doing it too. And hopefully that is what gets you to go to the next level.
Shut the fuck up, Susan. You hear that over there in New York? You hear that? So Susan is the name of Gary's inner saboteur. We did a thing where we decided to name our inner saboteur so we can be more aware of the bad talk that they're doing and kind of like call them out, like you would call somebody else out that was talking some shit to your friend. And it was just such a gift to be able to do this episode with Gary, because honestly, like, we just clicked right away, and I was like, I want to hang out with this human, even though you live on an entire different coast. I'm sure once you go back and you listen to the episode, you will fall in love with Gary too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it made me more appreciative to the vulnerable side of myself, because I think growing up, I was always told, "Oh, you're too sensitive," or
Mm-hmm.
"You're too emotional," and I had to harden up. And I think also starting to dress more masculine, I felt like even more I had to harden up. Like, I couldn't be emotional. Like, it just, the two, I couldn't exist together. So it was really nice to be able to see the power of vulnerability and how it's made him feel less alone. And it made me reflect and look, and I'm like, well, shoot, it made me feel less alone too. And because I was being honest with people, and hearing other people's perspectives on what I was thinking also expanded my own thinking. And I feel like now I magnetize certain folks, but also I feel like this podcast started because of the vulnerability.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think for me, it was honestly the opposite, which is weird. I think we talked about it yesterday, because you asked me directly, like, okay, do you think your vulnerability is what created your community? And I was like, honestly, I think my community created my vulnerability, because I still have a pretty strong wall up for some things, because I've always been a very private person, but I had a very strong wall up. Because I remember, like, when we first started our like meetings with the podcast, and like it was always a very like therapeutic experience, and we'd be crying and talking about all these like things that we were going through. And I remember sitting there being like, this is the moment where you could probably say what you're going through and it's okay. And like, it took me so long to get to that point, but I think having people that like are willing to be vulnerable around you really does create that safe space, even if it sometimes takes a while. People that show you that it's okay, that like people aren't going to look at you different, people aren't going to treat you different just because you have like an emotional day or like an ugly day. Really, like, it gets in there, it gets in your mind over time. And yeah, I think for sure, if it wasn't for this podcast, I would still be a very shut off person. So I get it. I get where Gary's coming from for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'm just like kind of looking in the past in my brain of moments where I was like, no, tell me how you feel.
Oh my God.
Not the situation.
Oh God, for real.
I know the situation, but tell me how you feel.
I laughed, but it was so not funny at the time, because I was like, literally, I don't know what you mean. Like, what do you mean? I don't know if I still fully understand what that means yet, but I'm getting there.
You have.
I'm getting better at being like, I feel anger.
Yeah.
I feel rage.
Well, yeah, because that's what we started. I was like, just do one word emotions.
Yeah.
And then eventually, through those one word emotions, you were able to be like, okay, I feel this because of this.
Right. Instead of just, oh, because of this. And guess what? All these other things that have nothing to do with what we're actually talking about. Oh, God. Yeah. It's been a journey.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's called deflection.
Oh, is that what that is? Look over there.
Yeah, I think you've come a really long way,
Yeah.
and it's really beautiful. Like again, like I've said earlier, the blossoming, and for both of us,
Yeah.
because like for me, I came all emotions until you're like, okay, but what do we do with that? You know, and then now I'm like, okay, well, here's the boundary, and here's a solution, and not just like throwing up all these boundaries. Because me too, I was very guarded, so it was
Yeah.
really nice to be able to mutually learn from each other on that, and also to have even like work relationships, this podcast relationships that have taught so much, and these guests that come on and just tell us this like real shit that they've been through that's like so deep, and the commonality between so many people who are dealing with all these different intersectionalities, they have chosen people.
Yeah.
And
Intentional.
it's not like just, oh, I choose these people, but these people choose me. And that is gold right there, baby.
That's the ticket.
Mm-hmm.
That's the peanut butter and the jelly.
And this is the perfect moment to talk about the next topic. These two people's relationship is so beautiful because there's just that unconditional support, understanding, and acceptance that they have with each other because they choose each other. And the two people I'm talking about are the co-hosts of Black Fat Femme podcast, Dr. Jon Paul and Joho Daniels. And they started a podcast because they were also seeing a hole in a lot of spaces where they couldn't really talk about the deeper things that are going on due to these intersectionalities. That there was only a certain range that they can take these conversations. And so they started a podcast because they wanted to talk about it, but not only that, the way they vibe is so incredible. And there's no like that competition where you see like other podcast co-hosts just trying to one up each other. Like they're so equal and so much fun. But again, I'm blabbing. We're going to give you a little taste of their episode just so you can kind of catch their vibe. And then we're going to have a little chat after. So enjoy.
I was getting to a place where and it wasn't just on that show, it was on other shows too, where, sometimes I felt like I was being too radical, or sometimes I felt like I was talking about things that people just didn't have the range to discuss. Right. And I was constantly in the mind of like, whenever people would invite me on their podcast, I wouldn't say I was watering myself down, because I don't think I've ever watered myself down for anybody, but I definitely think there were just places and topics and ideas of where I wanted to go that I just felt like I didn't have the real estate to go to on certain, or even the time, right? Sometimes I talk about, white supremacy and the queer community, and it would get to a place where it would be so much to unpack that I didn't have, I would only have 20 minutes, 30 minutes to really just talk about it. And I would have to like touch on it and go. And, we're going to move on to a new topic, because no one really was invested into that conversation. It's not just about me and Joho getting on the mic and just kind of talking shit, because that's what we're going to do anyway. But the reality of the matter is that I think it gives us more the space to be able to really talk about things that honestly, a lot of podcasts just don't really want to go to or want to get into, and really also to give us kind of the space and the grace to be able to kind of process out.
The show is about the show, right? BFF, Black Fat Femme. Our tagline that John says in every intro is where all the intersections of your identity are celebrated. And our show really is about that in itself. When we get to live out that value, we are both the kitchen table and the cookout. We are both the therapist and the best friend's couch. We hope, and we've been affirmed by some listeners, it's a show that they feel like they're in the room with us, talking with us.
So was I right? Did you not just fall in love with those two? They're hilarious. And they're so smart. Every guest we've had is brilliant. But the way that they use their words, they're like, I keep thinking, imaging like beautiful weaving baskets, just how they do that. And it's just so much fun and it's so entertaining, but at the same time, like you're filling up with some knowledge. So, and also like they just fucking keep it real, and it's so refreshing to see people be able to authentically show up fully as themselves and not water themselves down, just because I feel like often with folks with many intersectionalities often have to either water themselves down, or they have to be more this, or they have to be more that when they're in like certain spaces that, you have to be, more Mexican when you're over here, or you have to be, well, I'm just referring to myself, or, more Filipino when I'm over there. Like, I don't even know quite 100% sure what it means to be fully anything, because I'm just a mix of many things, and now learning more about my native peoples, there's just so much different kinds of blood that's running through these veins. To try to just pick one to be like, it's just so confusing,
Limiting.
limiting. Oh yeah, that's a great way to put it. It's really nice to see a podcast out there not limiting themselves and really talking about some really honestly relatable stuff that I don't get to hear much of from any other podcast much, because let's face it, a lot of the wellness area of things tend to be what's the word when everybody's
Not
doing
POC
it?
centric.
Sure, you sure.
Wait, what were you gonna say?
Trendy. That
Digestible.
That often the wellness space has become trendy and not authentic. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, like they said in the episode of, it was Joho that was like, yeah, it's all about turmeric shots and like collagen drinks, and that's great and all, but what about the real raw authentic wellness experience?
Yeah, because a lot of that stuff stems to accessibility,
also.
as well, like money, consumerism. Yeah, and it's really wonderful to like be able to hear stories like mine, or to hear stories that aren't like mine, and I can learn something from them. Just their episode alone teaching me what I see in other people, whether that's good or bad, is because it exists in me. Like that blew my mind. Just having that representation that I was missing, and also now becoming that representation that I was missing, is huge. I think that I've had a lot of imposter syndrome, but recently some work I did for Share Your Flair with the TLC Family Services, I did a video maybe about 2 years ago, and it was put on the HRC website, and I'm just blown away and still kind of like, imposter. But I'm like, no, shut the fuck up, Susan.
Yes, Susan. Sorry for all the Susans out there.
Yeah. No, not you,
We're not
Susan.
talking about you. But yeah, that was incredible. It's a big deal. Imagine you like 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh, I would have never believed it. I used to be that little 18, 19-year-old getting those free little HRC stickers. Like, representation.
How cute.
And now, like, if you told that person, oh, yeah, you're going to be on their website, like,
right?
What? There's only white people on there.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, being your own representation is huge. I definitely feel that way too. And again, because of this great community that I'm a part of now, that's very intentional, like I've found a lot of confidence in myself to put myself into spaces that I normally wouldn't, like being a part of a queer somatic healing event in San Francisco coming up called Tender Body by Alexis Benefield. Shout out Alexis Benefield. Also one of our episodes she was on, which was
this
amazing.
Year. Yeah.
Yes.
Incredible.
Yes. and being able to be a part of that event, literally, like, I still don't know how that's happening, but it's happening. A year ago, even, could have never dreamt of putting myself in these situations. And it's a testament to having supportive people in your life that push you to do things that are outside of your comfort zone, but they're important. And yeah, we all need to stick together.
Mm-hmm. Keep unlocking each other.
Yes. Yes.
I feel like it's like we're unlocking each other's hearts, because I feel like when we're more connected to our heart, we're more connected to ourselves. Because I think our mind often is like, no, you should be doing this. No, you should be doing that. And then our hearts kind of be like, reel it in and be like, no, you're wonderful just the way that you are. Just share you. Because you're a gift.
You hear that? You're a gift.
All of you. Even Susan.
Especially Susan.
Right. Our triggers can be some of our best teachers. Did you like that? I hope you did. Because that was fun. And maybe there'll be more of that to come. But until then, I'd like to start this off by thanking ourselves. Thank you, Snoop Dogg, for teaching us this. That we often don't thank ourselves. And I wanted y'all to take a moment to thank yourself. Just thank yourself. I'm going to be quiet so you can have a moment. All right, moment over. I think that it's important to acknowledge yourself. The human existence is a very complex thing, and I think that often we get sucked into a black hole of the dark parts of it and forget to sit in the gratitude of the beauty, the parts that keep us here, if that makes any sense. I don't want to say the parts that keep us here, but what I mean is those beautiful moments, those magical moments, and not even just like acolytes. I don't know how you say that, but not just your successes are being the things to celebrate. There are many more things to celebrate, and I just feel really honored to be able to provide this gift to the community with this amazing team here at Queerify to provide this podcast. And I think that I too was sitting in imposter syndrome, and it's time to say, no, thank you. You're doing some good work. I'm looking at myself in the video. So I'm looking at myself in the mirror saying, thank you. You're great. Thank you for this work. You're welcome. You're welcome. Sorry, I just saw Moana yesterday. But yeah, no, thank you for real, listeners, though, for sticking with us through all the changes, for arriving the way that you do, authentically, the way that you are, however you are. You're welcome exactly the way that you are. And remember, you are a gift. And we've got some fun stuff coming up for next year. We've got some changes coming, and we're really excited for y'all to hear what we've got coming. Until next year, y'all. Love you. Bye. Tap that follow button, give us a 5-star rating and review, and hey, your review might end up on the show. This podcast is organically grown by Raphaella Landestoy, Leah Jackson, and myself, V. Vasquez. Editor and sound designer, Leah Jackson of Puka Puka Creative. Original music, produced by Basque. His music is amazing. And emotional support by our fur babies, Nugget and Pukalani.